The recent arrest of former Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, over an alleged 1.3 trillion naira fraud has ignited conversations and calls for investigations into other former governors. Okowa was detained following allegations of diverting funds, including the 13% derivation funds from the Federation account between 2015 and 2023, and misappropriating funds in personal ventures. The arrest has divided public opinion, with activists applauding the EFCC's swift action, while others decry what they perceive as a selective approach, calling for broader accountability among former political leaders.
The Delta State chapter of the All Progressive Congress, APC, hailed his detention, calling for investigation into the financial activities of other former governors, highlighting concerns over alleged mismanagement during Okowa's tenure. Okowa was released after 5 days in custody, but the investigation continues to stir political debate in Delta State. Now, joining us is political analyst Ibrahim Osinowo. Good morning, and thanks for joining us. You seem to be muted. Can you help unmute your...
Oh, sorry, sir. Good morning, sir. And good morning, my dear sister.
Good morning.
Nice to be here again.
Thanks for joining us. I probably would just start with your quick reactions to the case against the former Delta State Governor, Ifeanyi Okowa. From news reports, he has been released, but his passport, held back by security agencies, by the EFCC. There's those who say this is politically motivated. What are your quick reactions, first of all?
Okay, nothing so special about it, nothing catchy about it. It's a normal routine where EFCC will detain someone, put it in the media for sensationalism, put it in a way that, people believe that the person involved is guilty. And I will contest vigorously the capacity and, the exposure of anybody who is saying this is politically motivated. Don't forget that the present president was investigated and prosecuted by CCB over declaration of assets, sometimes almost about 8 years ago. I don't know if you remember that. So that's arresting Okowa is not really a big deal. It shouldn't be a national discussion. What is alleged of most of the governors that will finish in a couple of years, of course, will be detained, put in the media like every other, every other former governors. And at the end of the day, you find out that EFCC is just a noisemaker. The investigation that ought to have been done silently and get a justice for Nigerians will be put in the media, and at the end of the day, you find out that they are just toothless bulldogs. At the end of the day, we won't get any cogent evidence to prove that beyond reasonable doubt that Okowa, siphoned the Delta State funds. And don't forget, Okowa will not be the first in Delta State. It will not be the last. There was a particular governor that was prosecuted in Nigeria unsuccessfully, moved to the United Kingdom, was jailed, and when he was returning back to Delta State, the Delta people told Nigerians seriously that it's their money. There's no reason for anybody to cry wolf over their patrimony. That it's none of Nigerians business. That is their money. Sometimes early this year, I laughed at Papa Clark writing petition up and down that they should arrest Okowa, they should arrest this, they should arrest that. Papa Clark refused to mention those contracts he has been getting from Delta State government during Okowa and before Okowa and the rest of it. So I believe the SEC is just responding to petition, and detaining anybody should be usual. The next one you will hear now is Obateki. And after 5 or 6 days, Obateki will be in his home enjoying himself with coffee early in the morning. So I don't want us to bother ourselves on few things. we have a lot of national irrelevant things. We have a lot of national issues that's pressing. Economy is there, and so many. So Okowa is just enjoying himself. So I don't see anything, so as told about him being arrested. If they like, they should detain him 20 days. He knows. Most of the governors you are seeing today are prepared for this day. Some of them have set almost 5-6 billion naira for legal battle. So some senators, even after leaving us, will set 1 billion for legal issue.
Yeah, I mean, don't you find something wrong with what you're saying, that governors set 4, 5, 6 billion naira aside for legal battles? 5 billion from where? How much is a governor's earnings in 4 years that he has 5 billion naira put aside for legal battles? Isn't that obviously a sign that somebody has been mismanaging state funds if he has 5 billion naira put aside just for legal battles?
Sir, let me tell you, my dear brother, you and I, we are Nigerians. We are living here. We are not living in the moon. EFCC took a governor, a young governor, to court over 80 billion naira, allegedly. Now, the guy is fighting the EFCC up to Supreme Court, contesting the framework that established EFCC. I'm sure you are in this country now. All those senior advocate that is engaging from Federal High Court, State High Court, Court of Appeal, are you thinking they will come and smile? People, a friend of mine is part of them. Do you think they are doing charity with him, with Yaya Bello, and my dear brother, Governor Ododo? Do you think they are doing what do they call, offering of service? Even Egbon Femi Falana, he would, if you go to Pamela Falana here in GRA, he will tell you to go and bring 2 million naira or 3 million naira for even a consultation or briefing. Like, what are you talking about? I'm not saying, even my party, most governors in my party, some of them I can mention, even in Southwest here, that have, spent, local government fund, arrogantly.
So what you're saying is that
most of them are spending strong local government funds as their wife's, what is it called, pocket money every month. So what are we talking about? The FCC should wake up and stop disturbing Nigerians with detaining somebody 5 days, 6 days. They are just a bunch of, time wasters there.
So you don't have faith? I
know Kayode is a fantastic guy. He's a great guy, but he's working in a very tight condition. So he should wake up and do the needful. So all these 5 days, 6 days, 7 days, 8 days, it's irrelevant to us. To people like us, I don't know, maybe a lot of people, but to people like a lot of Nigerians, but to people like us, it's just a normal routine, So Okowa released after 5 days, 6 days. What does that mean? That's nonsense. That's stupidity. For anybody to think that's the story that we can discuss nationally.
Well, I mean, there's a presumption of innocence, right? There is a presumption
to court immediately if they think he's guilty.
Yes, and his aide has discounted, according to some of the news reports, his aide has discounted the speculations or the stories that we're hearing. A number of them, they've said stories have been whipped even while he was in office by unscrupulous elements to tarnish his reputation, and that he has nothing to fear, especially because he submitted himself to the EFCC when they requested for him, unlike certain people that we know that are still on the run and we haven't been able to find them. The EFCC have scoured the whole country. They've not yet been able to see Yaya Bello for some reason. We hope that they'll find him one day. But are you saying, in essence, that you completely have lost faith in the work that the EFCC is doing to fight corruption, especially with public office holders and the ones who have just left office?
Yaya Bello is in this country drinking pepper soup every evening. I'm sure a lot of people, I have not seen him, but a lot of people in this country know that Yaya Bello is enjoying himself, drinking bottle of wine, whiskey. If he's not, he's still going to gym early in the morning and enjoying himself, contesting the legality and framework of the federal government and the law that established the EFCC, putting them on their toes. You served your state. They ask you to account for what you've done to your people. That simple question turned to legal battle. You can see how corrupt this country is. Turn to legal battle. Just to come and explain. This state has placed you in charge of our resources of Kogi State. Come and explain. That has turned to legal issue. Yahya Bello, as at now, I can tell you, wouldn't have spent nothing less than 1,800 million, within 1 billion to 800 million to lawyers by defending just simple explanation. If you look very well, you will see Yahya Bello in Abuja. And I'm wondering what EFCC is doing by not arresting Yahya Bello as at now. So that aside, you said, I can't remember the other questions.
I was asking if you have faith in the EFCC's ability to fight corruption against public office holders.
I'm a nationalist. I have no other country than this country, but the EFCC must wake up and stop fooling Nigeria that once you arrest somebody and you place that person in your AC room, and after 5 days you release that person, you run to media and say you are prosecuting anybody. That is childish. That is nonsense. They should wake up and ensure that what the president is doing, in terms of, recalibrating and, giving the Nigerians a, good touch of life, should be in front border of their activities. How can you say you place Okowa 5 days arrest after alleging him of stealing almost a trillion naira? What about the present governor? Some governors can be investigated, but they can't be prosecuted. Some of them who are former Speaker of House of Assembly, who collide with these guys to have access, unlimited access to these funds, needs to be invited. So What are we talking about? EFCC will believe that, okay, if you just take anybody, you take them to your cooling room, and at the end of 5 days, you release them, blah, blah. There's a particular young boy.
Yeah, but Mr. Osinowo, just to be clear, I mean, you earlier stated that you are...
allegation that the boy did not serve his sentence, alleging that EFCC collected certain amount from him. This particular boy has not been dealt with. This particular boy is out of this country.
Yeah. I just want to be clear.
On a watch list. And the particular young boy was still roaming around, flying around all the internet and doing all sorts. So those are the issues that need to be discussed. This is our country. We're not going to shy away from those things. We're going to discuss it. Forget that it's our party, it's not our party. We need to address certain things.
All right.
Yeah, I just want to be clear, because earlier you mentioned how governors from your own party, even have these same issues. I believe you're, with the APC. Can you clarify that you're with the APC? And then you mentioned earlier that even governors from your party pretty much do the same thing, which is, allegedly mismanage funds and keep money aside for the EFCC when it's time at the end of their tenure. So isn't that, an outright stain on your party and the integrity that it's meant to have? And of course, on President Bola Tinubu, who of course, is currently leading the country.
Anyway, my brother, I'm a Nigerian first before being a member of any political party, and I'm a professional. I'm an investment and risk analyst. I analyze risk, account for compliances. I develop risk model, projection on investment, and accrued risk that might be occur on any funding of finances in this country and globally. So I deserve to request for my country to be better. For any leader who has been bestowed the trust of leadership to account for the resources within their domain. So I can do that freely.
Yeah, including with members of your party. I'm
coming. I will address it. I will address it frontally. because you are a member of APC or you are a member of PDP does not give you that lawful right to siphon or to turn the local government or any state fund into your personal resources. Number two, Asiwaju did not ask them to go and convert. He's busy struggling, reshaping the country in Abuja. He didn't ask any governor. Those governors were elected to serve their people. So it's not the president that asked them to go and steal or to go and be keeping money for just a simple explanation. Come and explain how you spend 80 billion. That one turns to you going to Supreme Court, contesting the foundation of the anti-graft. You can see the level of corruption. Is the guy Yayabelo not a member of APC?
Yeah, but the same president. So listen, this is what I'm pointing out. This is what I'm pointing out. The same president who told the Attorney General, and of course, ordered that the 76 minors be released and have their case dropped. That same president appointed Ola Olukoyede. So he has the same ability to reach out to the FCC chairman and tell him to stop embarrassing Nigeria with the current Yahaya Bello drama. And so are we saying that Mr. President is not aware of what has been going on with Yahaya Bello and the EFCC? And he's not been able to ensure that this doesn't stain the integrity of his government?
Look, there's nothing staining the integrity of any government. Let me tell you how governance, is being managed. The president is not an autocrat. He's not going to go in and say, Olukoyede, go and arrest Osa tomorrow. Go and arrest this, go and arrest that. For instance, in Rivers State, he advised them they should go through the legal route and settle whatever political issue or administrative or governance issue they have. The same way EFCC has approached the court, Yahaya Bello and the Kogi state government have said, okay, you guys, what you're even doing, you don't have legal standing for it. The proclamation made by the then President Olusegun Obasanjo, based on the UN resolution, needs to go around. He said, there is academic, reasoning there. It's fine. But those things were such because of the step EFCC has taken towards Kogi State government, the former governor, and his son, His Excellency Ododo. That is their right. They have the right to question them, to go to court and seek further interpretation on the legality. And you can see that some other governors and some other state government also, as joined the forum to question some of them that knew at the point that after their immunity, after their immune being in office, they'll be prosecuted, are also joining the fray by trying to stop EFCC from operating, for Supreme Court to say, okay, look, EFCC, you don't have a local standing or legal, workforce to operate in Nigeria. So go back, reenact the law, send the draft of the bill to all the 36 states House of Assembly, and let it pass so you can include it in the Constitution. But I can tell you, most governors, most House of Assembly will not sign it. The two-thirds will not be. So Asiwaju is not the one telling them. It will not be the one to tell them, Olukoyede, go and grab Yaya from Kogi State. That's going to send a very bad precedent and anarchy in the country. Because don't forget that we are running a federation. The states are autonomous. For instance, we're discussing about River State government. Supreme Court needs to be very careful, because you can't say that the federal government will hold monies that doesn't belong to her or that doesn't belong to federal government. The federal government and the state government and the local government are contributing into a purse called the national purse, and at the end of the month they will share it equally. The federal government takes certain percentage, the state government takes certain percentage, and the local government. The only entity in these three siblings that has been tortured, strangulated, are the local government. And I've been shouting, crying out, on strangulation of local government. But the president came in less than 24 months. It's still interpretation from Supreme Court. And Supreme Court has found that if you don't conduct election or you don't have democratically elected local government, you shouldn't have access to this fund.
So
that is what democracy is all about. So Asiwaju will not say, Olukoyede, go on. Yeah, Bello is there. He walked into EFCC a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure you know that, Lusa.
Yes,
nobody could arrest him.
The point is, at the end of his tenure, whatever Nigeria's rating with its fight against financial crimes, it will be on Mr. President and his appointees and the people who worked under his government. If we're not able to improve on our ratings, it will be no one is going to blame Olukoyede alone.
No. Let me tell you a story. In the United States, I'm one of the few that said Donald Trump is going to return to White House. CNN, SMSBC, and the rest of them collide in media propaganda, fake news, saying all sorts, banding all fake statistics across the United States and the world. But the American people believe that you can't measure a leader by just a single attitude. A lot of attributes are accumulatively, audit to determine.
I don't think you. I mean, I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding here. I think that you and Osa are kind of saying the same thing because it's not just one thing, yes?
No, we are not saying the same thing. He said the president was going to account for all these things. And I said, you can't use that single issue because he didn't force his boy.
He will be rated, Mr. Osinowo, he will be rated based on certain metrics and different yardsticks. And they'll say, how did President Tinubu fare in the fight against corruption? Right? So
how many percentage?
Sorry?
How many percentage?
Exactly. So they would ask these questions.
EFCC is just one.
So
what about EFCC just one?
From your perspective now, seeing as that's just one, what other areas would you say so far that the current administration has excelled in when it comes to the fight against corruption?
Oh, a lot. I'm sure you are aware.
Specifically with the fight against corruption. Specifically with the fight against corruption.
Come on. Because they said those have made 200 billion naira, the president will not just order Olukoyede to come and arrest you and put you in jail.
What we are just saying is
so many cases that they are winning, plea bargaining and the rest of it going on there. I can give you what's this guy's number? You call him. I'm not a spokesperson for EFCC, but they're doing a lot. But because of just one case, you're not going to nail them off. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Mr.
So the president, in so many fronts, has been doing wonderfully well. Look, he has asked them to stop importing crude oil, PMS at this point in time. You buy from the local refineries, you do whatever you want to do. I believe we should discuss those national progressions. We should discuss those national, development.
Okay. So I think at the end of the
president is doing. I just gave you an example of CNN. CNN spent billions of dollars on Donald Trump, yet they lost woefully. So, American people told them that this is the best president
Mr. Osinowo,
they could have.
This conversation is not about CNN or Donald Trump. Let's bring it back home. We're looking at we as a country. The fight against corruption benefits everyone, right? And we started with you have established the fact that EFCC needs to wake up and smell the coffee. You believe in the individuals, but from what you said, you don't necessarily believe in the institution so far, especially with how they have fared in terms of fighting against corruption. So what we're asking, or I think my final question would be, what do we need to put in place? You said that the legislation will probably not fly. Legislation to ensure adequate fight against corruption will not fly. A number of these governors and legislators, will not be in support of it. So definitely it will not fly from what you've said. If that will not fly, if of course the president cannot give a directive because then it becomes a banana republic, what institutions and what measures do we need to put in place to ensure that we can say that indeed we are winning the fight against corruption?
If you listen to so many legal opinions, like from Papa SAN, JB Daudu and the rest of them, and Chief Awumolo and the rest of them. Yes, there is little inches in the framework of EFCC. But what I believe the president will do, and I believe he has the political capacity, is to call the National Economic Council, call the governors. okay, this is the issue. But he will not be able to do that until the Supreme Court gives his final verdict on the issue. But he can make a political negotiation with them, call all of them in the room. We need this law to be passed today. And they will agree on terms and conditions, because most of these governors, they are going to leave office very soon. They will not, and most of them control the House of Assembly. So they will negotiate on that platform and get, the two-thirds of the states to pass the law, negotiate on this thing, and bring it back to National Assembly for the president to sign. That's number one. Number two, we need to be patriotic. Most governors, I will continue to mention most governors, should please remember that one day you will leave the office. Your children will account for what you've done in 8 years, in 4 years. Allow the local government funds to, to get to the poor. Look at what they are doing now, the governors now. They are passing some vicious and, devilish laws. I was so disappointed in Shasoludo, His Excellency, using the back door to siphon the Anambra State money by passing some frivolous and, unethical law. What could President do? What is Tinubu going to do? Is he going to go to Anambra and tell Shasoludo and his House of Assembly that you cannot pass a law, or he's going to go to Kebbi State and tell them not to pass the law? They are using, because of the Supreme Court, judgment, they are using one hand, right hand to conduct election, using the left hand to collect the resources. This is not about party now. This is about national concern. So EFCC needs to be strengthened legally so that some other governors who are dragging in such a nature like Yaya Bello will not go back to Supreme Court to seek interpretation. So we need national approach. We need to be nationalistic. Most of the governors, people must vote in the 2027 election based on issues, based on who is this guy, what is his antecedent. Most of them does not even matter. They don't have a corporate experience. They've not worked. They don't own business. They become governor. And apart from Dauda, I've known Dauda, the governor of Zamfara State. I've known Dauda more than 20 years while in banking sector. Apart from Dauda, who has gone through, some trainings, corporate exercise, corporate, management. Most of them, few of them.
The reason,
Mr. Osinowo, they went to University of Ife. Some of them does not even attend secondary. They don't have OND.
Oh well,
So
the president also had the same questions as to his.
Our approach to national issues. So I think there's a big problem there, but I believe the president will solve it. Will settle it politically.
I don't know when or how he will solve or settle these issues. The reasons that you've described, the actions of governors like this, and even attested to the fact that, yes, they are stealing money. I mean, you've said it already that we're all Nigerians. We know what is going on. So, I mean, there's nothing new about them stealing money. It's mostly because of a nation that has very weak institutions that are unable to tackle these governors. And so when they get into office, yes, they will take local government funds. Yes, they would have 5 billion naira set aside to, for legal battles. Yes, they will continue to mismanage state resources, and everybody knows that. But it is, at the end, still the responsibility of the current Nigerian government, if it plans to strengthen these institutions to reduce the theft and the mismanagement of Nigeria's resources, it's the responsibility of the current government. And if any head of agency, Ministry Department of Agency or arm of government doesn't feel the need to work to strengthen these departments, it's mostly because right from the top, there is no, and it's not necessarily a direct order like we're in a dictatorship, but there's no, Mr. Osinowo, this is what I'm saying.
That's not true.
If you work on that, it's just like in a bank, for example, when the number one person in that bank, there's a way that he runs the affairs of that bank that everybody under him knows that you will not be caught lacking. You will not, and again, I'm not asking for a dictatorship or that he gives orders to everybody. No.
That's what you're asking for.
No. I've repeatedly said it, that's not what I'm asking for. But again, there's a way that people present themselves in their governments, in their FEC meetings, that everybody will know that you will not mismanage this ministry that you've been given. You will not mismanage this arm of government that you've been given.
Don't forget that Beta Edu was suspended and sacked because of simple, financial.
Has she been prosecuted? Are those financial crimes the type that you can just forgive?
And tell them, no, you know better. Come on, sir. You know better.
We have to draw the wrap up the conversation here, Mr. Ibrahim Osinowo.
Asking the president to be dictatorial in nature.
No, my point is the fact that an agency of government will drag its feet is because it knows that Mr. President, knows that this is business as usual. Is this business as usual attitude that I'm talking about?
They are ready to go to trial on Yaya Bello. But what Yaya Bello is saying that you guys does not have a local standing to prosecute any state affairs, which is by law. If you're an academician, you put those things on the table, and you don't need to be a lawyer for you to come out with one of the best, results to yourself. So Yaya Bello is challenging their local standing. All those legal bottlenecks needs to be settled. So, sir, this president is not a dictator. He's a Democrat and a progressive.
I totally understand that.
Follow the law.
I totally understand that. We need to go.
We used to mention that he has sacked a couple of ministers for misappropriation and non-performance.
I totally understand that, Mr. Osinowo. My point again, and I enjoy having these conversations with you all the time.
Because Beta Edu now. Maybe you know Beta Edu. Edu was sacked because of misappropriation. Till today, you didn't affirm that. Because no, I remember that the president has done this, has done that. He has sacked almost 4 ministers for non-performance.
All right.
He has asked the NNPC to stop reporting PMS. You didn't mention that.
We have to go now, Mr. Osinowo. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for joining us on the conversation this morning. We still will have you again and have more conversations like this one. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.